Hour number 2 of the big show. What better way to start it off than with our, well, used to be our buddy, Bully Ray, your president of Aces and Eights, your TNA World Heavyweight Champion. What's going on?
We're not friends anymore? We broke up?
It feels like we broke up.
Wow.
I feel like we were betrayed at lockdown. We saw this guy, and you weren't what you said you were.
Well,
you pulled the wool over our eyes.
That's what makes me good.
Yes, it's true.
Yep.
I would love to say you're my friend, but I don't think you think of me as a friend. So
I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't want any more friends.
Dave's going through a crisis of confidence over here. I don't know what's going on with that.
You want to be friends with me?
Of course.
Why?
Have a couple of beers. Hey, I was at your bachelor party.
Whenever I see you like outside the studio, you're like a nervous Nelly.
Am I?
Yeah.
Great story, by the way.
Didn't we go to we did hang out at a heavy like some kind of real bad metal concert, or didn't we?
It was actually the 25-year reunion of MOD, Method of Destruction.
Okay, there you go.
That was in San Antonio.
I'll say a quick story. There was 12 people from the Impact Wrestling roster that came in with you, and 5 minutes later, Bully was the only person in there. The rest of the roster just hightailed it right out the venue.
It was amazing just watching the dregs of society, the whitest of the white trash. I mean, there were no women in there, right?
No,
there was not one chick in the whole place.
If there was, it didn't look like a woman.
Just like the most disgusting, smelly, thrash metal fans you could ever see.
I felt at home.
Bad.
I felt at home.
The smell, it was just so bad.
So, funny story, at Slammiversary, you were being you at the fan interaction. This kid comes up, he's got a Cena shirt on, he's got the whole you can't see me thing going on, and you being you're taken aback. You're like, well, what are you kidding me? Is John Cena sitting here? No, I'm sitting here. You summon over an Aces and Eights shirt. You make the kid take off the Cena shirt, puts on the Aces and Eights shirt. Cool story. Everybody was loving it. Lots of laughs. So, the best part is you're just coming off of now the interview with us. And the kid comes over to you with his dad and says, thank you, Bully. We really appreciate it. I'm totally a TNA mark now. I'm an Aces and Eights fan. I'm a Bully Ray fan. What does he do? He gives you the beer.
Right.
You set the beer down.
Right.
You never got that beer back. You know how I know this? Because this guy stole it and drank it.
I didn't steal it.
You stole his beer.
It was sitting in front of me, and I was thirsty.
Right behind Bully's back.
Do you know how much that beer is worth on eBay?
With your fingerprints on it, I could get something for
5 cents for the bottle.
It was a good beer.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. The kid, he had a Cena shirt on. He was in the wrong place.
And Bully, it was a certain type of beer. It was a light beer, and I know you don't drink light beer.
Yeah,
so
no, Mick Ultra, 95 calories. That's how I maintain my girlish figure.
I mean, look at this guy. He's in the best shape of his life. He's not drinking the heavy stuff.
Yep.
Dave.
You are in tremendous shape. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So Bully Ray is here. It's definitely important we get to some of the important points of why you're in the area, because coming up, not this weekend, it's important to note the day after the big bombs go off, July 4th, everybody's excited, fireworks in the sky. Brooklyn, New York, not far from Bully's stomping grounds right here. Impact Wrestling is going to be at Coney Island's MCU Park. This is, if you're a New Yorker, you'll know it because the Mets Penn League affiliate, the Brooklyn Cyclones, play there. So Friday, July 5th, 7:30 p.m., it's the Basebrawl Tour, where you can get tickets at the box office, get it at brooklyncyclones.com, or you could just call it in 718-507-TICKS. Tickets are still available. We'll be there, Dave. Bully, I'm sure you're excited to be in the New York area. It's certainly better than being in Boston, that's for sure.
Oh, yes, definitely better than being in Boston. That's becoming like a big show for TNA every single year, going to Coney Island. I've been on every single one of the shows. Some of TNA's biggest crowds show up for that event, and I think the main event that night is me defending my World Heavyweight Championship against the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle.
This is true. Now a part of Main Event Mafia.
Yeah, now I was at last year's show. You went up against Sting.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go the same way as it did at Slammiversary in Boston, but you're right. Kurt Angle, Main Event Mafia. I mean, talk about that Main Event Mafia now. Now there's another faction in TNA wanting to go up against Aces and Eights.
I find it very interesting that nobody wanted to come to Sting's aid at Slammiversary, but now everybody wants to be buddy-buddy with him. I'll tell you the reason why. You guys haven't figured it out, have you?
No.
Probably not.
That's been a big question mark in the minds of wrestling fans for a couple of weeks now. Let me tell you something about pro wrestlers. They are amongst the most selfish people you're ever going to meet, okay? What was the stip of that match? The stip was that if I beat Sting, he could never wrestle for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship again, right? Mm-hmm. So why would any wrestler want to help Sting win? Because if Sting would have won, he would have become the World Heavyweight Champion, which would keep him in the World Heavyweight title picture forever, thus having to wrestle those guys who didn't come down to save him.
All right, let me turn this back around on you then. Why in the hell would Sting choose somebody that he knew was backstage when he was not helped out?
I'm not sure if Kurt was backstage. I don't know who stuck around, but I have no idea why he would choose Kurt Angle. I mean, the obvious reason is, I guess, because they were in the main event Mafia before.
True.
Okay, but
and he's good. I mean, he's a hell of a wrestler.
I got to tell you, I wouldn't trust. If I was Sting, I would have probably disappeared for a little while because I don't know how all of a sudden he's going to put his trust in guys that wouldn't even come out to watch his back.
I agree.
You know what? But you make a good point too. And listen, Sting gave kudos to Aces and Eights too because he said they're like a family. So and he's right about that.
At the end of the day, there's one goal. Listen, the Aces and Eights may take a couple of lumps here and there, win some, lose some. The ultimate goal is at the end of the day, I keep the World Heavyweight Championship, and as long as that's done, all is good in Hell's Kitchen.
Now, all we know from Impact this past Thursday is that, and again, there could have been a mob of people with Kurt Angle that took out your entire crew. But you're snapping your fingers there in the ring looking for, Aces and Eights to come down, and Kurt seemingly took out the entire locker room of your comrades. What's up with that?
Well, I don't know if it was only Kurt who did it. Maybe Sting has already assembled his main event Mafia, and he just hasn't revealed everybody yet. We're definitely going to get to the bottom of things, and I'm sure you haven't heard the last of the Aces and Eights when it comes to dealing with the main event Mafia.
Now, Aces and Eights to me is pretty top heavy. I mean, there's you the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I mean, and you're a monster right now. You're dominating with TNA. But the rest of Aces and Eights is kind of falling off a little. There's a little drama. There seems to be a couple of cracks here and there. I mean, are you going to, at some point, solidify Aces and Eights and make them a little bit stronger than they are right now?
Listen, you're dealing with egos, okay? You got an ego like, Ken Anderson has got an ego. Devon's got an ego. Doc's got an ego. They all, everybody's got an agenda and an ego. It's probably, it's up to me to keep those guys together. And I will. Every once in a while, you're going to hit a bump in the road. We've been hitting a couple bumps in the road, but I'm still the champion, and that's all that matters.
You do have a vacancy in the VP slot.
Well, it seems like Doc and Anderson are vying for that position, so we'll see how things play out in the next couple of weeks.
I'm sure you're not too happy about that. I mean, if I'm the president, I don't want any politicking, especially in front of my eyes, let alone backdoor, trying to become the VP. I mean, I assume in due time you'll appoint a VP.
Actually, I don't mind it at all. I want to see them kind of, see who can get the better of the other one and step up and become a good VP for the Aces and Eights.
I would think Doc needs to get in the ring at some point. When was the last time we actually saw Doc wrestle, Dave?
Well, he's more of an enforcer, I guess, because we haven't seen him wrestle.
Doc and Nux I'm looking at them to get together in the near future and hopefully get into the tag team scene.
I like that.
You mentioned Ken Anderson. Ken Anderson's in this BFG series. So there is a chance that Ken Anderson could be going up against you at Bound for Glory.
And hopefully he will, because what do you think Ken would do?
Lay down.
I don't know about that. You said wrestlers are selfish. I mean, it's one thing for Ken Anderson to say that now, but what would happen if he has that opportunity to go for the TNA World
I think when the time
title?
came around that Ken Anderson would do the right thing. And maybe not. But maybe not. So then Ken Anderson would have to, fight me.
I would not want to do that if I was Ken Anderson.
I mean, seriously, would you want to fight me?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to fight Ken Anderson either.
All right.
Of more current news, what I find to be fascinating, I am super pumped for tomorrow night because once this X division gets sorted out, once we get and I say once we get a champion, obviously Chris Sabin is the champion, but since they wrestle and every time the title's on the line, anybody could be the champion. What we do know is that after Thursday night, whoever is the X division champion can trade in and can challenge you. So who would, of the three of them, we know you have an affinity for Sabin. You don't like the guy, but you've definitely had some quality, nice things to say about him. Is Sabin the guy? Is Sabin the future of the business, like Hogan said at Slammiversary?
Well, you know what? Whether I like people or not, I always give guys their due, how they are in the ring as wrestlers, as athletes, as entertainers. You got to give Sabin credit. He's coming back now from, 2 blown out knees. He was part of a really, really quality tag team in the Motor City Machine Guns, and just getting back into the mix here and champion already. If he's the guy that wants to step up, I'm sure me and Chris Sabin will have a phenomenal match. And right now there are a bunch of guys in the X division that if they did step up, I'm sure there would be a really quality match. But at the end of the day, I'm sure I'm going to find a way to get the job done and beat them.
You just said something that's interesting about that you give kudos when kudos are deserved. And Sabin's somebody that you put over big time Slammiversary weekend. They had that web show, just before Slammiversary. You had some great things to say about Chris Sabin. And I mean, listen, you're a badass, and you're right. I wouldn't want to mess with you. I don't think anybody would. But you definitely put people over. I mean, that's something that I don't think most people, when they look at Bully Ray, they don't expect that.
Well, I'm honest. That's the thing. People think just because I'm a BMF and because I'm intimidating and because I'm a bully and all that stuff that, I'm not going to be honest. I'm very honest about guys. You throw me out a name and I'll give you my honest opinion on how I feel about them as a performer or an entertainer. Chris Sabin, you got to give a guy credit. Yeah, a little history question for you. How many people have kicked out of the Dudley Death Drop?
Well, we know Sabin has.
One.
Exactly. Name me one other tag team finishing move, or singles finishing move for that matter, that has only been kicked out of one time.
Can't think of it.
There you go. You got to give the guy credit. Okay, that move won me and Devon 23 World Tag Team titles, and he's the only guy that ever kicked out of it. What am I going to do? And tell me he's a piece of crap?
No, you actually called him a prick, but you did put him over.
Okay, so I call him a prick. All right. But yeah, Sabin is a phenomenal talent. And I truly believe that every division in TNA is superior to any other division in any other company. I really believe it has the best, talent roster, pool out there.
You say that you're honest, and you always are with us about talent. So I got to ask you about one guy in particular that I feel that maybe we're just missing the boat. Maybe we just don't get it, what certain people are seeing and what we see in him, and that's Matt Morgan. We keep saying that this guy could have limitless potential, could be the big man that TNA is looking for, and honestly, I see all the tools. I see the verbal acumen. I see the in-ring skill. I see some tenacity. What are we missing with Morgan? Why does he always seem to, get to a certain spot and then he fades away, and then he tries to get back and then he's fading away? Where is Matt Morgan in your eyes?
Well, let me ask you this. You are the guys that put wrestling on the microscope on a weekly basis, okay? You're fans, you're analysts of the industry. Tell me why Matt Morgan, after how many years now? Over 10 years in the business?
Long time in the business.
You tell me your opinion why he has not gotten farther. Give me a one-word answer.
It's tough. It's tough because we've seen improvement. I think, year to year, we've seen improvement with Matt Morgan.
Hey, how many times in sports do we see a quality athlete or a quality team who just can't win the big one? Maybe that's him.
Possible.
Maybe he's really, really good, but just can't get to that next level where he can become a world champion or become the it guy for a company. I mean, yeah, you look at him, 7 feet tall, super impressive body. Hell, if I had Matt Morgan's body my entire career, I'd be making $10 million a year right now. But maybe, I don't know. I'm not in his brain. I don't know what makes Matt Morgan, operate. Definitely has all the tools. Not quite sure why he has not gotten farther. I mean, he stole Hulk Hogan's cape. You would think that would have lit a fire under Hulk's ass. But maybe screwing his daughter maybe lit more of a fire under his ass.
Probably.
Well, then there you go. So one guy steals a cape. I have sex with his daughter. There you go.
That definitely trumps the cape.
Yeah. There you go.
Every day.
Yeah.
You had to do one over. You had to do it.
But those are the things that maybe are You know, maybe held him back. Maybe he needs to do something with a little bit more substance. Maybe he has to get himself noticed a little bit more. Everything is there. He is a godlike, physique. He's got it all. I'm not quite sure either way.
You're a guy that goes 100% all the time. Your motor's at 100 miles per hour all the time. Do you look at some of the guys, and maybe there isn't, but are there guys in the locker room where you're like, God, this guy has all the potential in the world? Maybe it's even Matt Morgan. And you're like, God, if they would just work a little bit harder, if they would just put a couple more hours in a week, they could take it to the next level.
Well, the guy that I think can take it to the next level, the guy that I've been pretty supportive of, is Magnus. Because I look at Magnus in the same way that, like a Matt Morgan with, physique.
Sure.
The
look.
He has the look. Magnus is, he can talk. He's very physical in the ring. And it's just going to take, the right things to click for it to happen with him. I mean, when you look at Magnus right now, he has like he's the poster boy for what a pro wrestler in 2013 should look like. Natural physique, looks good. He's got all the tools. Hopefully he can go far with it. And there are plenty of guys in the industry who, probably could have gotten a lot farther in their career if they would have just worked harder and not just sat around and accepted mediocrity.
Would you put Crimson in the category of somebody that could take another jump in this business?
Yes, Crimson, I mean, another guy with a great look. Crimson's needs to get over some of his mental fears in the ring. Like, he's still very young, in the ring. So sometimes you get in that ring and your mind gets the best of you and it starts racing and, you might be one step ahead of yourself. I believe that's one of, Crimson's problems right at this very moment that I foresee him overcoming and being able to do something real in the industry. A lot, guys, when you're young and you first get in that wrestling ring, it's not easy. You have to be a Jedi Knight in there.
It's like that basketball analogy where, a lot of the sharpshooters, they'll come out just firing bombs away and, the coach will pull you aside and just let the game come to you.
Sure.
Absolutely. Is that sort of the same thing in the ring?
Sure. You have to calm down. You can't be, you can't want to, run down the hill and, I have an analogy that I want to use, but there's children in this studio. Why are there children in this studio when I'm here?
It's a long story.
It's Dave's daughter.
Abigail, earmuffs.
Earmuffs, Abigail. Go for it. You're killing our content, Abigail. What are you doing?
And like you said, they got to let the game come to them. Now, Crimson, yes, has to let the game come to him. Matt Morgan, been around a long time. He's got to go take the game. Because, listen, years going on, not getting any younger. You have to go take the game. How did a guy at 39 years old, who has been part of one of the most recognizable tag teams in the entire history of the business, lose 100 pounds, reinvent his body, his persona, his everything, and become a world heavyweight champion? Do you think I sat there and waited for the game to come to me? No. I took the game by the balls. And then I had sex with Hulk Hogan.
All right. I'll try to transition best I can after that.
Good luck with that.
I know you're a big fan of the NWA. I am as well. And the reason that you've always said that why you were is because it seemed like it was real competition going for real titles. Now we got the Bound for Glory series. And it reminds me of the NWA. Why? Because you're actually looking at standings. Live events now mean something. This show in Brooklyn in July 5th, it means something.
Yeah, Dave, to jump in, July 5th at MCU Park in Brooklyn, New York, 7:30 start. You got Jeff Hardy and Austin Aries in your Bound for Glory series match. The following day, they're up in White Plains, Westchester County Center, July 6th, 7:30 p.m. Tickets still available. Joseph Park and Christopher Daniels, Bound for Glory series match. These are not just your regular live event fare. These matches count in the statistics.
Yeah, and wins and losses actually mean something. Oh my God, in wrestling, wins and losses actually mean something. It means for something now with this BFG series. Do you like this? I mean, I know Doug and I go back and forth on a lot of our Busted Open.
I think it takes away from feuds, Bully, honestly. I think there's definitely some competition to it. There's definitely some real good stuff there, and I stress the real, but I also think the natural feuds that develop over the way sort of get lost when you have this competition overlay.
Feuds will always be there. Feuds are what makes pro wrestling. I like the Bound for Glory series. I like the idea of a tournament. I like when there's points on the line. I like having to fight for the goal of the World Heavyweight Championship, because at the end of the day, the World Heavyweight Championship or any other respected championships in a company should be the most important thing. So I have always enjoyed the series. I think it's something that makes TNA different. I actually think that they should add a step to the Bound for Glory series, and I'm going to pull this from soccer, from like the Premier League or the Italian League. I think whoever finishes in last in the Bound for Glory series should be relegated.
I like it.
And should have to be sent down to TNA's developmental territory.
I like it.
Or should have to be, not on TV for 90 days or, whatever it is. So that even, that no matter who wins gets the world title shot. But even on that last day, guys would be fighting for last place.
I love it.
So, I like the whole idea of the Bound for Glory series. And I also like the fact that it puts credibility back into to the wrestling part of our industry.
I think there's also another byproduct of it, and I could talk to Blue in the face about feuds, and it takes away from that natural one-on-one feud, but it is a long-term story. It's a long-term situation that has started already last week that's going to take it to October. Now that, I'm sure you'd agree, that is old school wrestling mentality.
Sure. And an old school wrestling mentality is best when stories play out and feuds play out and a tournament plays out for a long period of time. A slow burn, slow and steady wins the race. I'm thoroughly in favor, and I think coming out of the Bound for Glory series, you'll probably see new feuds, heat up from what does go down in the tournament. I think it makes TNA unique to any other brand out there. And at this stage of the game, TNA needs to do whatever they can do to make themselves different.
And I think it's also very cool that you're going to be looking at that leaderboard. It's almost like in the NFL, you go to that newspaper on Monday morning, you're looking at the standings. Same thing here with TNA. You're going to be looking at that BFG leaderboard.
Yeah, and I think every single year, this is the fourth year now, the third or fourth year?
Third year.
Third.
Okay, I think the past 2 years have been very interesting.
Come down through the wire.
Yeah, I think I've been in the final. The past 2 years.
That is true.
Yeah. So I figured if I can't just win the damn thing, I might as well just pull the wool over everybody's eyes, fool the whole world, and screw them out of it. So that worked.
Well, you mentioned Brooke a couple times. Let's talk about Dad, as you say. You get to see him quite frequently, even if it's sometimes sneaking up behind him with a hammer, or sometimes he's sneaking up behind you with a hammer.
Correct.
Although we haven't seen any hammer shots to the head. That said, what you see in Hogan, and going back to your comments that you made to us at Slammiversary, do you see a guy that in a couple months might be fit for one more match?
Absolutely.
Wow.
See, you guys don't see what I see, and you don't know what I know. Listen, like I say, I'm always honest. At the end of the day, if you don't think Hulk Hogan has at least one match left in him, you're fooling yourselves. Hulk Hogan is a very tough man. He's been around this industry for a long time. He's going to save it all up for one more match. Who knows? That one more match may be against me. It might not. I don't know. But he's got one more left in him. And I don't care what anybody says, whether it's the extremely smart fans or the novice fans. In some way, shape, or form, everybody wants to see Hulk Hogan one last time. Even if it's the morbid curiosity of, will he take a step in his ring and his knees will blow out? You want to see it one more time. Maybe you don't want to see it against me, and that's fine. But you're going to want to see it one more time. What is he supposed to do? What is Hulk Hogan supposed to do? Just ride off into the sunset and not have one last moment in the middle of a ring? He deserves it. And the fans should be more appreciative of the fact that he wants to have one more match.
I think on the other side of the fence, too, from what we heard from you, you want that match versus him. And secondly, which I think is the more important point for the wrestling fan, if they're not into the Hogan side, I feel like Bully Ray can sell me on that match.
Let's go back a couple of months. you guys be honest. When you first heard that the main event of Slammiversary was Bully Ray versus Sting, what was your initial thought?
Ugh.
What did you think after it was all over?
Wow.
It came off really well.
Okay. So that's it.
I mean, from both. I mean, Sting looked amazing.
Sting did a hell of a job.
I mean, Sting,
he really
and
did.
that's the other thing too, Billy. I mean, when you look at Sting, when you think of Hogan, do you like, oh my God, man? These guys have been through wars.
Do you think that Sting was actually going to step in there with me, not ready to go? And did you not think that I was going to bring it to Sting so hard that he would be forced to up his game? That's the thing. Once that bell rings and you're standing across from me, you might have that moment where you go, oh shit. No matter what, he's going to bring it to me, and I better up my game. I better become the Sting of old. I better become the Hulk Hogan of old. Otherwise, this guy is going to eat my guts. And that's what I'm going to do.
Since we went back there, I got to ask, because it's been on my mind. Likely would never have brought it up unless we were talking about Slammiversary. I'm sure it was your idea, but where did the conception to slice open the ring and peel it back come from? I loved it, by the way.
My idea.
Yeah. Have you had that in the old bank for a while?
That's one of those cool visuals that I've been saving for the right time.
Well, I'll tell you what. It just shows, the novice wrestling fan that it is not a trampoline. I thought from a visual standpoint, from a real standpoint, we now see what you guys bump on night in and night out. And I would like to think, and by the way, next stunt should be slicing open the ring ropes, too, to show the steel inside of there, because that doesn't feel very friendly on the back either. But I loved just opening up that little slice of thought and like, my God, these guys are bumping on wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a wrestling ring is no joke. It's just like bumping on, falling down on concrete. It's a canvas with about an inch of, or an inch of padding and then those, hard wooden beams. And steel underneath there. So yeah, the one thing that I was most proud of when it came to that visual was it had never been done before. And finding things in pro wrestling in 2013 that have never been done before is very hard to do.
And I've never seen that before. And I got to give you credit because you're right. I think as wrestling fans, we've seen everything done and done again. I've never seen that before.
Right. I mean, Taz and Bigelow back in, 97 going through the middle of the ring. Innovative. They were the first to do it. Make no mistakes. A lot of things that you have seen over the past, 10 years, ECW had done it first.
Yeah.
And this one is one that I've been saving for the right time. And the thing that I really enjoyed about, me and Sting's match was the pile driver. Putting the credibility on the one move that had been barred more than any other move, in the history of pro wrestling.
And you called it, and you pumped it up. You talked about it leading into the match, and we saw it.
Yep.
And that was the way to go, too. And again, the psychology. That was the brilliant part, and that's why Bully sells matches, is because he's telling you coming in, I'm going to get you with the one move that's taboo in wrestling right now. What was the line? I'm going to break your neck.
Yeah. Yeah. Sting told me he was going to try to break my arm and break my leg. And I said, I'm not going to try to do that to you. I'm going to try to break your neck.
Well, I'm glad you know what?
And the idea of the pile driver, I didn't mean to cut you off, is because of my affinity for Terry Funk. And I'll never forget the day Funk pile drove Flair through a table.
Oh. Which
is technically, I believe, and I'm sure I think you can find other examples. It might even be Kevin Sullivan, but that's that time was the first time you ever saw a table come into play. Although I do think Kevin Sullivan used tables back down in Florida before that.
Just as an aside, I'm glad you mentioned Doc and Nux potentially getting in the tag team scene for TNA. Well, on behalf of Aces and Eights for TNA, because I got to be honest, I don't know who Storm and Gunner are going to go up against at this point.
Yeah.
The tag teams are like fleeting at this point.
Unfortunately, tag team wrestling, no matter where you look in the world, is, as I've said before, it's becoming extinct.
That's got to kill you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I actually feel, kind of bad about it because, I don't think it should have ever have happened. I understand why it kind of happens. I've said it before, we live in a very selfish era, and wrestlers are selfish, and I don't think there are guys who are willing to share the spotlight anymore with another guy. I think guys just want to, hog it all for themselves. One of the things that made me and Devon so successful was we were very comfortable sharing the spotlight. We knew that we were worth more together than we were apart. And, a lot of guys can't coexist that way.
And chemistry. I mean, it's probably rare nowadays you could put two people in the ring that would have the chemistry to be a team.
Sure, yeah. And how do you go into a company? I'm like, do you go into TNA or WWE as a team? I mean, I don't even think you can step foot into the WWE doors saying, hey, we're coming in as a team without them going, no, you're not. I don't know. Hopefully it'll turn around one day.
Yeah, creative license at some places along the road here kind of goes out the window.
Absolutely, it does.
I want to see what Bully's going to do in Brooklyn on July 5th, because that's a Met minor league stadium, right? He's a Yankee fan. You're a Yankee fan. So are we going to see somewhat what you did at Fenway Park in Brooklyn on July 5th?
What did I do at Fenway? I didn't do anything bad, did I? I just stood on top of the monster and kind of took the place over.
Oh, okay. You looked at it like, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Look, Dave, I know you're not a baseball fan. The Yankees and the Mets are not rivals. They're in different leagues. They can only face each other in the World Series.
But if you're a Yankee fan, you don't like the Mets. And if you're a Met fan, you hate Met fans.
If you're a Yankee fan, you hate the Red Sox. You don't hate the Mets.
Met fans don't hate the...
Being a Yankee fan and pissing on a Met fan is kind of like beating somebody up who takes the short yellow bus. It's just
Green Pickles bus.
I mean, it's just, you feel bad for the Mets sometimes.
Yeah.
How could you hate them?
The short yellow bus with the curtains on it?
What is that?
You don't remember the short yellow bus with the curtains? Forget it.
Oh,
No.
I guess it's a Jersey thing.
Yes. Let's keep it there. Bully Ray from Hell's Kitchen, New York, sucker. You stay in Jersey over there. He will be there at Coney Island's MCU Park, Brooklyn, New York, a week from Friday, July 5th. Again, if you're a Mets fan, you'll know that that's the Brooklyn Cyclones ballpark. They're a New York Penn League affiliate. It's going to be a great place. When TNA does Basebrawl, it's hot. The fans are into it. Remember a few years ago, Dave, there was like 6,000 fans over there. It's going to be a packed house again. BrooklynCyclones.com or the box office, a place to get tickets. They're still available. Show starts July 5th. 7:30 p.m., and then they follow it up July 6th at the Westchester County Center. Also a 7:30 p.m. start as Basebrawl rolls along in New York. Bully, thanks, brother.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.